Hello everyone, and welcome to another game with me. Now before we actually get into this game, I have a question I want to ask you guys. How do you guys feel about oracles and oracle play in general? I personally like going up against oracles, especially in the mid game and early game, just because with my mass marine style, it's really easy for me to deal with the oracle. And when somebody goes for oracle, which is really gas intensive, it's harder for them to transition into, let's say, colossi or storms. And against my style, you really need AoE to deal with it. So I have no problem against oracles, and because I have no problem with oracles, I sometimes assume that no one else has problems with oracles. So therefore, I will never really cast games with oracles in them. But a bit of a hindsight by me, I will try to cast more games later. With oracles, I mean. Alright, so we scout our opponent, we scout 50 gas, no chrono boost on the next assist, and about 100 gas here again. So nothing too telling here, very normal. 150 gas mine is not enough for us to worry about one base oracle. You would need about 200 gas mine for this to be effective in any way. So this will be a normal two base play. Our opponent is going for Mothership Core and wait for it, Stargate play. And this is probably the earliest I've ever seen a Stargate off two bases. It's so early that our opponent didn't bother going for warp gates, which I do understand because, well, the the Oracle can pretty much handle any kind of harass. For the most part, anyway. You don't really need gateway units that much. But, of course, because our opponent isn't really going for gateway and is not really scouting, he's not really expecting our push. Therefore, this will catch him by surprise, we'll say. So, loses the one stalker. This stalker is very low on health. The Mothership Core has enough energy to cast with Proton Overcharge, but wants to lure the Marines a little bit closer. And then here, our opponent actually reveals the Oracle. We get it, but we kill it. But the big thing is that he revealed it. And once it's revealed, it's easy for us to react and pretty much deny anything. Positioning of the weak Marines is kind of key sometimes. So our opponent is going to swing in with an Oracle and kill off all of the rest of the Marines, and that will be that. In the exchange, though, I'm pretty happy with it. I got 7 workers killed. That's really nice for me. Got the Mothership Core, a Stalker, and yeah, I'm happy with it. Now, against Oracles, there's several ways of defending. You might go for mass Marines like what I like to do. You might, if you have less Marines, you might go for a bunker with the Marines. You might also go for turrets in the mineral lines, or a Widow Mine even, or maybe Vikings, but that's not very common. Now, what I found is that I don't usually lose versus Oracles, but when I lose, it's because my Marines are pushing out. Now, in this case, I know that my opponent doesn't have enough energy on the Oracle, but if he did, I would employ something else to defend against this. I've realized lately that you don't actually need that much to defend Oracles. In fact, you don't need anything to defend against Oracle. They have a really big weakness that cannot be overcompensated, and if you see here, it says under the pulsar beam thingy that pulsar beam actually drains 1.4 energy per second, so pretty close to 1 per 5. This is a lot of energy to drain. So if you can somehow distract your opponent, buy some time while he has this activated, your opponent will run out of energy really soon. And this is what I normally like to do against someone like this. So our opponent is not scouting again, doesn't realize that this is coming. Does lose a stalker, and we will do some harassment on the probes. Nothing too extravagant though. Our opponent is going to defend with one on overcharge, and of course we're forced to go to the high ground and do some damage from there on out. We're going to pause because 9:15. I want you guys to look at this. I'm going to bring your attention here to my mineral line. So, if we don't have anything to defend, and in this case we have 2 Marines and that's it, so it's not enough to defend, a good way is to just buy some time. You can buy some time by taking your workers and just transferring them from one mineral line to the other. I know how stupid this sounds. I know. But just hear me out here, okay? So, while transferring, your opponent is not a Phoenix. Your opponent has an Oracle, which is not a Phoenix in any way. It does not fire while it moves. It has to physically stop, like a Banshee, before it fires again. Or while it's firing, I should say. And because of that, it does waste a bit of time. While I transfer the workers, I've realized that I lose about 3 to 5 workers, sometimes 6 if I'm not careful, but that's okay. The real question I want to ask, though, is how much time does it take for an Oracle to lose 50 energy? It already lost 25 while using the pulsar beam attack, and it has 26 energies left. So 9:15, we're going to count to see how much time it takes for the energy bar to reach 0. 16, 15, 10, and 5. Okay, 0. So 932. So that was 17 seconds, 18 seconds-ish. So how much time do we buy from transferring one mineral line's worth of workers to another? About 17, 18? Is that fair? I mean, it does depend on the map, of course, but if that's all it takes, then we're kind of good. And this is something that I've discovered against oracles. If you don't have enough defensive stuff to properly thwart this, you can actually buy some time as a way of just thwarting the oracle harass. As long as the energy reaches 0, you're okay. And the oracle will normally chase the SCVs, and it doesn't really get much while it's chasing. It has insanely high DPS if it doesn't have to move, but the moment it moves, it's really hard for him. So behind this, we are attacking. I know that he used up all of his energy, so he's not going to have much to defend. I take out the cybernetics because I don't want to deal with stalkers. Also, while I was in the natural, I took a look at the robotics space. I'm going to take out the robotics facility because I don't want transitioning from him. I don't want to deal with AoE. And he doesn't really have much here to defend. He has to defend with an oracle that gets taken out. And always keep in mind positioning when you're up against melee units, especially protoss in general. I can't tell if he's being sarcastic here or not. I really can't tell. So, once again, just to recap, Oracle is kind of comparable to Banshees. Again, that's not necessarily true, but the energy is kind of comparable to Banshees. If you're the type that in the mirror matchup TVT, you like going for Cloaked Banshee, and you're always finding yourself a little bit bummed out because Cloak is not lasting as long as you want it to, just know that the Oracle is kind of that way for Protoss. The Banshee uses up 1 energy for every second. The Oracle uses up 1.5, so the Oracle is an extreme case of the Banshee. Because of that, as long as you keep that in mind and try to buy some time, however way you can usually thwart your opponent's Oracle harassment, even if you don't have anything to defend against. As long as they defend against, well, as long as you run out of, you're making your opponent run out of energy, you're pretty much good. You pretty much thwarted whatever he had. So, I hope you guys like this video. Hope it was informative. You guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye, guys.